This is the AM7, ZWO's newest high-capacity harmonic drive mount designed for serious astrophotography. I've been using the AM7 in the backyard for over a month now in some seriously harsh conditions. In this video, I'll share my honest opinions about the mount, and as always, the company has no input on what I say whatsoever. If you're in the market for a bigger telescope mount, I think you're gonna like this one. Let's get into it. Over the past 4 years, I've used the smaller AM3 and AM5 versions of this mount a lot. Coming from a time back when mounts used to be very bulky and heavy, these little red boxes almost feel like a cheat code. I can set up my gear faster and more often simply because they're so lightweight and portable. I've never had a single issue in terms of tracking accuracy with either of these, but a lot of people have been asking for something bigger, something that could comfortably handle even heavier optical systems without giving up the convenience and quick setup of a harmonic drive mount. So naturally, I was curious to see how the AM7 performs, especially with some heavier payloads I wouldn't have thought would ever be on a harmonic drive mount. The AM7 is ZWO's top-end harmonic drive equatorial mount. It uses the same strain wave gear design as the AM3 and AM5, but is engineered for higher payload and performance. It was designed for astrophotographers running longer focal length systems and heavier imaging trains. Like the rest of the AM lineup, you can use it in equatorial mode for imaging or alt-az mode for visual observing. Seriously, who's using it in alt-az? It uses a harmonic drive combined with a synchronous belt with a 300:1 reduction ratio. This gives it very fine control over motion and tracking, meaning sharp, long exposure images. One of the biggest reasons that astrophotographers have been waiting for the AM7 is that extra payload capacity. The mount head itself weighs just 15 pounds, but it can handle up to 44 pounds of gear without a counterweight. With a counterweight, that payload jumps up to a whopping 66 pounds. For reference, the AM7 can handle my heaviest astrophotography telescope, the Esprit 150, at 32 pounds without a counterweight.
Stop. No. Go.
Get ready to touch it.
Stop. Trevor, put it back.
I think it's good. You just gotta get used to it.
Used to what? Your scope falling
The
off?
crazy thing is the AM7 mount head itself doesn't weigh much more than the AM5 did. It's 3 pounds heavier. The payload to weight ratio of the AM7 is insane at roughly 3:1. It allows you to run larger telescopes that would push the payload capacity of the AM5 without moving up to a massive traditional German equatorial mount. This mount gives you more room to grow, which is one of the most important pieces of advice I can give you. Always overmount if you can afford it. I know you think you'll never outgrow your current system, but trust me, you'll be glad you did. It's been bitterly cold lately, but I've had a few clear nights to test the AM7's performance on multiple targets. The main telescope I used was the heavy William Optics UltraCat 108, without a counterweight, of course. The UltraCat weighs about 18 pounds, and with the camera and accessories, it's closer to 20. Now, I know this isn't the ultimate stress test, but it's a heavier load than I would have put on the AM5 without a counterweight. As you may have guessed, the AM7 handled this setup effortlessly with no sense that it was being pushed at all. To evaluate the tracking and guiding performance of the AM7, I captured the Rosette Nebula using 5-minute exposures. Throughout the entire session, the total RMS error hovered around 0.74 arc seconds. That's a respectable tracking accuracy that results in sharp, round stars in every single sub. And honestly, it was overkill for this 520mm focal length setup. I ran the entire session on my tablet with the ASI Air, autofocus, meridian flip and all. Just like my experiences using the AM3 and the AM5, there were no surprises. My biggest worry was a stiff cable getting caught up, and that's on me for not cleaning things up. The AM7 includes some useful ports that the AM5 and AM3 don't have. There's a USB-C and a DC output available at the rear of the saddle, which are there to clean up your cabling. I'll definitely use the DC output to power my camera moving forward, as it creates a straight line back to the rear of the scope and skips a major potential snagger. Super handy. For my session on the Rosette, I ran everything using the ASI Air app on my tablet in station mode. I connect through the ASI Air controller built into the 2600 MC Air camera, a camera that feels even more handy in this kind of weather, and the entire setup was pretty clean with minimal cabling across the board. I'm all about autofocusing now, and I really noticed the consistency of the sharpness of all my subs. There is something about refocusing this scope while I'm in the basement that just feels so good. A tiny little tweak that makes me feel warm on the inside. The hardest part about reviews this time of year is it's just so cloudy and so cold, and it's just late, and I'm trying to do it for you guys. So I hope you really appreciate, 1 second. Teagan, why are you calling me at midnight?
Have you by chance finished that AM7 video review yet? Like, what is taking so long, man?
I'm over here refreshing the clear sky chart like a stock ticker, waiting for a gap in the clouds. You get so lucky with clear nights over there, it's not fair.
Yeah, says the guy who has a garage that looks like a telescope showroom.
They're different focal lengths, dude.
Oh, no. Totally justifiable. Yet somehow, you still need a new mount.
I mean, I think we've all been waiting for this one. I am done with counterweights.
Oh yeah, absolutely, I agree. Well, make sure to include that in your video. And your dog, obviously.
Hey, Rudy boosts engagement.
Okay. Hey, we can't lie to ourselves here, Trevor. Rudy is your YouTube channel.
I also have cool music and time-lapse.
Hey, no, yeah, you do. Just maybe don't put Rudy on the thumbnail again.
No promises. If you want to stay up to date with the latest astrophotography gear, usually the day it comes out, and you want to get monthly what's in the night sky notifications, subscribe to the High Point YouTube channel. It's a great resource. Teagan's good, but there's no Rudy. Go the other way. Press the button. Just hold it down. That's a lot of weight to be sitting on the top there, eh? Keep going. If it falls, it falls.
No.
Okay, now turn the declination axis. There you go. Get it pointed straight. Other way, other way. Get ready to catch it. If it falls, you gotta catch it, okay? Because I regularly leave my rigs running all night in the backyard, meridian flips and all, these simpler, cleaner setups make it easier for me to actually get some sleep. Okay, it's more of a half sleep, really. The AM7 includes some handy features that you would really start to appreciate if you start running heavier rigs. It has a mechanical zero position, so the mount can always find its home position reliably. There's also a brake on the right ascension axis, which means if you lose power, your telescope isn't going to suddenly drop. There's no brake on the declination axis though, so proper balance still matters, especially with a heavier scope on there. Now, I had to look into this because I didn't even know it was a thing. I've definitely accidentally lost power with the AM5 in a weird pointing position before, and it just froze in place indefinitely. But I'm always using pretty light rigs, little refractors and stuff. From what I've read, it's more of a slow drift rather than a devastating drop. But still, with a heavy load, I'd get that declination balance as good as possible, just to be sure. For my setup, I mainly use the Apertura heavy-duty carbon fiber tripod instead of the standard ZWO TC40. Both tripods are rated for up to 110 pounds, but the Apertura tripod has wider, thicker legs, and it feels noticeably more solid thanks to the spreader tray in the middle, which also works as a spot to set your phone during polar alignment, I might add. With mounts in this payload class, tripod stability is really important, not just for guiding performance, but for overall safety and peace of mind. For even more stability, you could use a tri-pier like this. You lose some of the portability of a lightweight carbon fiber tripod, but it puts your scope at a much better height and you have the maximum amount of clearance for a longer system. I got used to lugging my AM5 on my Starfield pier in and out of the garage, so it's technically still portable, set up as an entire system, but definitely a little awkward. This is more of a semi-permanent setup, and I'll be running the AM7 this year a lot in this configuration. So where does the AM7 sit in a super competitive lineup of astrophotography mounts? It's a clear step up from the AM5N in terms of how much weight it can handle, but otherwise there's nothing groundbreaking about its performance. The good news is the AM5N is fantastic, so just a bigger version of that is pretty sweet. The Skywatcher EQ6R was always my benchmark for capable mounts in the astrophotography world. And the AM7 matches its payload capacity of 44 pounds, but it's 23 pounds lighter. With the counterweight on the AM7, you're up to 66 pounds, which technically means I could put my 12-inch Newtonian on this thing. Honestly, I think a harmonic drive mount is best enjoyed without a counterweight, so don't overdo it. I may be old school, but for scary, heavy systems, I still prefer using my traditional EQ mounts like the EQ8. The counterweight shaft on the AM7 is larger than the one for the AM5. It's a 25mm shaft. This requires a different counterweight, and unfortunately, I don't have any, if you can believe that will fit it. There's two that I know of now that will fit it, so if you have this Skywatcher one from the AZ EQ6, literally the only Skywatcher mount I don't have, this counterweight will fit it. Apertura is now making this one that's coming out soon, a 22-pound one. More expensive, but either way, if you need a counterweight for the AM7, you're gonna have to invest in that as well. So can't test the counterweight from here yet because I just don't have any that will fit that shaft. Okay, so who is this mount not for? If you're running a lighter rig with a compact refractor telescope, the AM7 might be overkill. I know I said overmounting is always a good idea, but an AM5 or a Skywatcher Wave 150i both provide up to 33 pounds of payload without a counterweight, which covers a lot of ground. Even if you're running a big ASCAR 120 refractor, you'd still have an extra 15 pounds left. The AM7 is really for astrophotographers running heavy setups at longer focal lengths who are tired of heavy equatorial mounts. In the past, I've used some seriously heavy-duty mounts to carry the big boys. The Skywatcher EQ8R and the CQ350 are still my observatory grade mounts for these monster scopes. But I can now run the AM7 on my medium to heavy scopes like the William Optics FLT 132 and the Edge 11 HD on a quick setup counterweightless system. The bottom line is there are a lot of great medium load mounts out there that might be more than enough for your current gear and even some future upgrades. At the end of the day, in my eyes, you're paying for an extra 11 pounds of payload capacity with the AM7. That's without a counterweight and the whole reason why you'd want a harmonic drive mount in the first place. AM5N, 33 pounds, AM7, 44 pounds. It might not sound like much, but it makes a big difference in terms of the types of telescopes you can now use. If you already own an AM5 or AM3, you know how bulletproof these things are. There's a reason mine get used more than any other mount I own. They're just easier. Right now, the AM7 is listed at $500 more than the AM5N. And if you're on board with the idea of over-mounting whenever possible, the AM7 makes a lot of sense. Or keep using your old Equatorial. The HEQ5 I bought 12 years ago for $700 still works. So it's nice to have options, right? I hope you have a better understanding of what the AM7 is all about and understand that I just want you to get out there and shoot no matter what you're using. If you enjoyed this video, it would mean a lot if you gave it a thumbs up, and until next time, clear skies.